options in Central Illinois. Visit stealthwellness.com or click on my banner ad at DeWittDailyNews.com. Let me, Dr. Bill Byers, show you some simple, under-the-radar ways to improve and take control of your health.
This is Brett Zerfowski with Central Cremation Center. We have expanded our business and now offer private pet cremations to memorialize your loyal companion. Find out more about us by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time is 7 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Here's what we have coming up for you in news on this Monday. With the tractors and combines getting put away for the winter months, a University of Illinois Extension educator is reminding producers to make sure those storage units have protection from rodents. We'll hear about that coming up in news this morning. A DeWitt County school district is embarking on strategic planning, and added revenue is going to be a big part of its future. That story in news today as well. And it's open enrollment time for Medicare Part D. How does Social Security overlap with open enrollment? We hear from Jack Myers at Social Security in news this morning. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. As producers get those tractors and combines put away for the winter, a University of Illinois Extension educator is reminding producers to make sure those storage units have protections from rodents. Small Farms educator and agronomist Doug Gooker reminds producers rodents are especially drawn to the cables of those large pieces of machinery and can do some serious damage if precautions aren't taken.
Yes, and so, yes, as we're cleaning up those combines and tractors and grain carts and truck, remember that and getting them in buildings and out of the weather. Remember that our small furry rodent friends are doing the same thing. They're looking for a shelter to stay out of the winter too. And air cleaners and heaters and vehicles, not to mention all the nooks and crannies in combines, plus all the insulation on the wiring and everything we use today talks to some type of a control module. And so it's all connected by wiring.
Gooker reminds to set those bait stations up as soon as set those bait stations up soon, and if you have small animals like cats, get them in those barns to prevent the rodents from doing a lot of damage that could hold up that spring fieldwork cycle.
And remember that a mouse's teeth, just like a squirrel's teeth, they are constantly growing, and so they have to be chewing on something every day. Otherwise, their mouths will literally lock up because their teeth will will completely occupy the open volume of their mouth. And so that's why they're chewing on insulation and other things. And so try to seal up those buildings if you can. If you can't, get the bait stations out. Make sure your farm cat is a good hunter, and do what you can. And there are repellents as well we can put in the cabs of vehicles that work. So just remember to do that, because having replaced a wiring harness myself on a tractor, that is expensive.
As the anhydrous ammonia applications begin, producers will soon be turning their attention to the winter meeting season with things like the Greater Peoria Farm Show right after Thanksgiving, then the Illinois Farm Bureau annual meeting. The key to success is planning, and a local school district is doing just that. Dr. Michael Tresnick is the superintendent of DeLand-Weldon Schools and explains they have begun strategic planning for the first time in a long time. He notes the district will be receiving some funding from local wind farms.
So it's been probably 8-10 years since the district has done a strategic plan, and when we're looking at our future, we have wind farms coming into the area, which is going to create certain financial opportunities. We thought it was time to just kind of look at where do we want to be in a year, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, where do we want to be, and involve our community in some of that decision making. So we had a strategic planning meeting Saturday. The Illinois Association of School Boards held it for us and facilitated it. And we had some community support, and then school board members, teachers were all involved in that, in trying to figure out, what our next steps are, redeveloping our mission statement. So our next steps, we're going to pull all that information we gathered, which gathered a lot of information, and try to put it together and develop a comprehensive plan over the next few months.
Sure.
So that's going to kind of be my job in the next few months, is working through that information, working with the administration and teachers, and figuring out those next steps for us. But it's an exciting time for DeLand-Weldon, just with what our financial future looks like. We have a lot of different opportunities, and we want to try to put together the best product for our kids.
According to Dr. Tresnick, the district held an open forum as a part of the planning process earlier this month. He says the community did not participate as much in their meeting as he would have liked, but attributes that to their feelings about the district.
It was a little bit smaller participation than we expected, but we think that's also a testament of people's happiness with where we are as a district. And we've, in the last year, introduced a lot of new programming, specifically the ag program, and made some changes with moving the middle school over to the high school. So there's a lot of different things we've already started doing. And I think that a lot of people are happy with the direction we are going. Mm-hmm. Usually in meetings like this, if you start getting a lot of people at it, sometimes because there's some sort of controversial, maybe negative situation that's out there that people want to speak about. And I don't think we have that right now, knock on wood. But I think that we have a really good direction that we're going. And this just validated what we're trying to get done.
According to Dr. Tresnick, most of the discussion revolved around the facilities, finances, and the district's curriculum. His goal was to show everyone where the district stands.
Well, we asked questions about where people thought the facilities were, what they thought about the finances, just to get their opinions about our programming, about our curriculum, just to get an idea of where they thought we stood on things. We did start the day of an overview of the district, including the finances, so that everyone knew kind of where we were standing going into it. But I think we were consistently hearing, is always be looking at that curriculum and looking at what we are offering and trying to maximize our opportunities for kids. I think it's pretty decent. I mean, just like anywhere else, though, everyone is exceedingly busy. It's hard for them to come to meetings and that. But if our parents have concerns, they have reached out to our teachers and reached out to the administration, and we've been able to address those concerns. So I think that the lines of communication definitely are there. But again, you look at society. It's just everyone's very busy, and it's just really hard. It's a hard ask to have people come in for a multi-hour meeting.
The district will look to develop short and long-term goals with reasonable timelines. Dr. Tresnick says it's his job now to decide where the district's priorities lie.
Well, we asked questions. We want to develop some short-term goals and some long-term goals. So we want to look at what is it that we think we can tackle and we can get done, and then developing that timeline. So it's a matter of pulling this information together and trying to prioritize things. And so that's what I'm waiting on. So our consultant from the School Board Association currently has all that information, and it's in Post-it notes and pieces of paper and all that. So I'm actually glad he's doing that. He's going to pull all that together and then send that to me in document form. And then from there, we can then develop what those priorities are. I hope to have it done this spring sometime.
Okay, gotcha.
That's kind of my goal, is to get it all knocked out before the end of the school year.
Keep up with all things DeLand-Weldon Schools, including strategic planning and projects, by visiting dwschools.org or follow the district on Facebook. The open enrollment period is an annual opportunity for those enrolled in Medicare to reevaluate their plans, and it runs until December 7th. Medicare beneficiaries can compare their options for health and prescription drug coverage. Jack Myers explains that includes Medicare Advantage plans, Medigap plans, and Medicare prescription drug plans, and signing up now makes them effective January 1 of 2025.
Here at Social Security, we handle enrollments into Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B, and then we also do something called Extra Help, which is financial assistance with the Medicare prescription drug program. So none of those things are particularly tied to the current open enrollment window that is going on for Medicare. That runs from October 15th to December 7th, but it's still important. We do a lot with Medicare and CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, good federal partners of ours. So, we want to make sure that we help people understand that open enrollment period is going on right now. It's an annual opportunity for people who are enrolled in Medicare to reevaluate the plans. So if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, if you're in a supplement or a Medigap plan, if you're in a Medicare prescription drug plan, you might need to change from year to year. You don't always have to. If there's no change needed, you don't have to do anything during this open enrollment period. But it is important to understand that those plans do change from year to year sometimes. So you want to take a moment during this open enrollment period to reevaluate what's going on with your plan in 2025. And if you need to make a change, now is the time to do it. If you make a change before December 7th, then your new plan will become effective January 1st of 2025.
If you are happy with your current plan and don't see any major changes to it, you don't need to do anything. Myers directs anyone wanting to compare plans on Medicare's website at medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE. In Illinois, you can also call the Senior Health Insurance Program through the Illinois Department on Aging at 800-252-8966.
And you may wonder, well, how do I do it? Where do I go? There are a couple of official sources you can go to. So Medicare has their website, which is medicare.gov. You could also call them at 1-800-MEDICARE. But if you're in the state of Illinois, we have, and a lot of states have these, but it's the Senior Health Insurance Program. They go by the acronym of SHIP. You can call them at 1-800-252-8966. And it is important, Seth, to note that we have a lot of great insurance agents and companies who are working with people on these plans. But just remember, if they're selling particular plans, they may not have access to all of the information. They may not be able to talk to you about competitors' plans. Mm-hmm. So going to medicare.gov or going to 1-800-MEDICARE or going to the Senior Health Insurance Program at 800-252-8966 is going to be your best source of complete and total information on all of the plans and information that's available to you.
During open enrollment, Social Security always reminds of the Extra Help program, and Myers explains how it works and pertains to open enrollment.
Yeah, so basically, and that's something you can apply for anytime if you're on Medicare. So that's not limited to the window that we're in right now for the open enrollment. But basically, if you're enrolled in Medicare and you have trouble making ends meet, you have trouble meeting the cost of the program, there is a way you can apply through Social Security. So you could call us at 800-772-1213 or go to our website at ssa.gov and look for Medicare Extra Help. But basically, you could apply for financial assistance with the costs that are associated with the Medicare Part D program. So those costs will include, in some cases, premiums that are due on a monthly basis, co-pays, deductibles. The extra help that is available by applying through Social Security can cover some of those things. It can cover all or most of the premium. It can cover a lot of the co-pay. It can take care of deductibles. So it can really be a big financial windfall if you qualify. There is an earnings limit and asset limit involved, but take a look at it. Go to ssa.gov, look in the Medicare section for extra help. You can apply. That's one of the unique things with us that you can do on behalf of somebody else. So if you're trying to help a loved one out who's struggling to make ends meet and is on Medicare, you can actually submit an extra help application for them to see if they'd be eligible for that financial assistance.
And again, open enrollment lasts until December 7th. Get more information at Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE. News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. A lot more to get to coming up on the morning show.
At Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Baum Motor Company in Farmer City, our job is to help and solve your transportation needs. This is Scott Baum. Both in Clinton or Farmer City, we'll listen and find options if you need a different or used car or truck. Or we'll give you repair options to keep your car, truck, or SUV safe and trouble-free so you can continue with your busy schedule. Visit our full-service team today at Clinton or Farmer City. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Do you feel like you're in a slump during the winter season? Is your mood affecting your relationships, social activities, or work days? You may be experiencing seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. An expert with OSF Healthcare says there are ways to deal with that. Mary Beth Evans is a licensed clinical social worker with OSF Healthcare and says it's estimated 5% of adults in the U.S. experience SAD symptoms, typically lasting about 40% of the year.
It can affect anybody, mostly from adolescents on, but children and older adults get it. But the majority of people who have seasonal affective disorder are women in their childbearing years. So you might see somebody as they're becoming a teenager, they start to be a little bit more sad during the winter months, and that kind of perpetuates until their childbearing years are over. So they basically, it's something that's a health condition that they need to be aware of and treat over the lifespan.
According to the American Psychiatric Association, common symptoms of SAD include fatigue, even with too much sleep, and weight gain associated with overeating and carbohydrate cravings. SAD symptoms can vary from mild to severe and can include many symptoms similar to major depression. A chance to view an original Gettysburg Address through November 24th at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum, says the museum's Chris Willis.
This is a real, true piece of American history, and we're proud every year to bring it out for a couple of weeks and let people have a chance to see it firsthand, because it is so fundamental to what this country is about.
And what goes into protecting a document like that?
Yeah, we really have to be careful with it. And that's why it's not on display all the time. People can't just walk into the museum and see it any time of year. We bring it out around the anniversary of Lincoln delivering the speech, which was on November 19th. So this time of year, we bring the document out. Otherwise, it's tucked away in a climate-controlled vault underneath our building where we can keep it safe from any harm, where we're not exposing it to light, where we're not exposing it to excess moisture or anything like that, so that it will remain in wonderful shape for many, many generations to come.
Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address in 1863. The museum is offering free admission on Tuesday in honor of the anniversary date. 2024 harvest is at the finish line, so farmers are starting to think about considerations for 2025. Pioneer Field Agronomist Jason McVicker.
So basically, when I'm sitting down with individual growers, probably one of the first things that I ask is, where are we at as far as soil test values? Are you up to date on soil tests, your pH is at, and what kind of a game plan do you have in place? And I've had cases where you can have all kinds of fertility out there, but if your soil pH is off, that really impacts how that upcoming crop is going to be able to utilize those nutrients. So getting the soil in shape, I think, is a good first step, and knowing where your base level is all part of that. And, as I take a look at some of the applications that have gone on to date, been seeing quite a few fertilizer trucks going across the field, which is good. A lot of guys pulled off a heck of a crop, and we need to put that nutrient back. But when it comes to the nitrogen side, right now, I just checked this morning, and we're still above 50-degree soil temps, and it is trending down, so that's a good sign. But now that we got some rain, I feel better about some of the tillage and some of the fall ammonia going on.
McVicker's territory is along the I-80 corridor. He says 2024 corn and soybean yields were variable in his part of the state. Commodity markets have had a lot to consider recently. A presidential election, interest rate decisions, and a USDA report. Has any of that resulted in a clearer direction going forward?
Yes and no. There are certain markets that are definitely making big moves and mostly in the directions that you'd expect given the outcome, especially of the election. So the so-called Trump trade in various financial markets evident. That includes the stock market, mostly higher, but also the dollar, very much firmer. That's a more protectionist type leaning. You have also the relation with the higher interest rates anticipated generally. That comes in the face of also having the Fed funds rate lowered by the central bank last rate. But on edge, you've got the balancing out this expectation that interest rates are going to stay high, the dollar's going to stay high, and that you're going to have some worry going forward about export demand, right, because of the potential tariffs that have been promised and what we know to be the history of the back and forth between us and major partners, especially China. So a lot that's going, again, as expected, and a lot there still needs to be answers for, and I think we'll know more and more, not just done with last week, this influence of the politics, certainly.
That's Joe Camp with Comstock Investments. 'Tis the season for holiday shopping scams. At least that's the word from the Better Business Bureau. Research from the BBB indicates online shopping scams account for 41% of scams tracked in 2023. According to Don O'Brien with the BBB, most scammers use the holiday to exploit busy shoppers.
Obviously, a lot of these things start on social media, and when it comes to social media, Facebook is king. So, if you've been looking for some type of gadget or something, and then obviously that pops up in your social media feed, you just be aware of where you're going. If you see something that's enticing on social media, you click and you go to a website, just really be careful. You've got to research. If you go to somewhere that you're not familiar with, that's when you really have to kick in. Like if you're going to go buy a pair of shoes from Nike, obviously that's okay. But if you go to some other website to find that new pair of tennis shoes for your loved one, you're really going to have to do some research, because that's where the scammers operate. They operate on the fringes. They put up these websites up today. They'll be gone tomorrow, and they'll have your cash.
For those shopping on a new website, O'Brien recommends consumers check the spelling of the URL. Often bad grammar could be a dead giveaway to a scam website. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. News and sports is next.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. On his way out of the White House, President Biden has pulled an about-face regarding Ukraine's deployment of American-made weapons, giving Ukraine the go-ahead to hit targets deep inside Russia with U.S.-made long-range missiles. A leading proponent of free speech, Brendan Carr, has been chosen by President-elect Trump to chair the Federal Communications Commission. House Speaker Mike Johnson rejecting criticism of the Attorney General nomination of former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who had been accused of sexual assault. 2 people killed, 10 others wounded, 2 separate shootings along a parade route in New Orleans over the weekend. Authorities don't know whether the 2 shootings are related. At last word, there were no arrests. Having lost more than $2.5 billion in the past 4 years, Spirit Airlines filing for bankruptcy protection. On Wall Street, futures down 85 points. More details, srnnews.com.
496.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jason Walker, getting right to the National Football League. Your scores Sunday: Detroit 52, Jacksonville 6, Green Bay over Chicago 20-19. Indianapolis beat the Jets 28-27. Rams over New England 28-22. Elsewhere, Miami defeated Las Vegas 34-19, Minnesota 23, Tennessee 13, while New Orleans took care of Cleveland 35-14. It was Pittsburgh 18, Baltimore 16, while Denver had an easy time with Atlanta 38-6. Seattle 20, San Francisco 17. Chargers beat Cincinnati 34-27, and Buffalo over Kansas City 30-21. The Chiefs are now 9-1 on the year. That was their first loss of the season. And this is SRN Sports. In that game we just mentioned with Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Chris Boswell tied a franchise record. He had 6 field goals, and the Steelers limited Lamar Jackson and the NFL's top-ranked offense in that victory. Oregon remains the unanimous number 1 team in the Associated Press top 25 college football poll, following a close call over the weekend at Wisconsin. Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana round out the top 5 for the second straight week. Make that 7 wins this year for LPGA star Nelly Korda. The number 1 player in women's golf ran off 5 straight birdies on the back 9 at Pelican Golf Club in Florida. That took her from a 2-shot deficit to a 3-shot victory. And the Grey Cup is final. Toronto has defeated Winnipeg 41-24. And this is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Monticello's defense stood up a Benton 2-point conversion in overtime and escaped with a 27-26 win in Class 3A high school football quarterfinal action Saturday afternoon in Monticello. Benton kicked a 27-yard field goal to tie the game at 20 and send it to overtime. Monticello got the ball first, and on a 4th down from just off the goal line, Ike Young found Carter Foran in the back of the end zone to go up 27-20. Benton got the ball and in 2 plays scored as quarterback Tiffin Kazukis scored from 7 yards out. Benton took a timeout to set up a 2-point conversion play, and Kazukis broke 1 tackle but was pulled back before he could get to the goal line, and Monticello players and students stormed the field as they secured a spot in a Class 3A semifinal game next week against Tolono Unity. Monticello jumped out to a 14-0 lead early. On the Sages' first possession, Young hit Foran for an 85-yard touchdown pass to put Monticello up 7-0. With 2:43 left in the first, Ike Young rolled in from a yard out to go up 14-0. Benton's only score of the first half was a safety. With Monticello backed up against their own end zone, Young threw an interception, but a holding call in the end zone resulted in the safety. The Rangers chose to take the 2 points instead of taking the ball inside the 10-yard line. They would not find the end zone the rest of the half, but Benton's offense rebounded in the second half. Kazukis led the Rangers on an opening drive touchdown to make the score 14-9. Nolan Benny Kemper kicked 2 field goals in the second half to put Monticello up 20-9. With 9:18 to play in the game, Kazukis hit A.J. Craven from 37 yards out, and the Rangers converted the 2-point conversion to get within 20-17. Kazukis finished 19 of 29 passing for 243 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. He also had 29 carries for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kobe Calley led the Rangers receiving with 9 catches for 65 yards. Nolan Schaefer added 63 yards on 5 receptions. Monticello's Ike Young was 21 of 34 passing for 231 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. the first-team All-Stater, also had 60 yards on 22 carries with a touchdown. Foreign continued his stellar season with 12 receptions for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was the Serve Pro of Piatt-DeWitt County's player of the game. Benny Kemper had 5 receptions for 44 yards and went 2 for 3 on field goal attempts. Benton ends its season 8-4 overall. Monticello goes to 10-2. They will host Tolono Unity next Saturday at 2 p.m. for a chance to go to the state finals in Normal. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Class 1A quarterfinal action from Saturday. Lena Winslow rolled GCMS 40-7. Leroy toppled Galena 37-21. In Class 2A, Maroa Forsyth won a thriller with Quincy Notre Dame 22-21. Tolono Unity rolled Nashville 47-23 in Class 3A. In Class 4A, Mount Zion down top-seeded Breeze Central 17-3, and Normal U-High took care of Cahokia 31-12. In Class 5A, Joliet Academy got by Peoria 43-8. In Class 6A, East St. Louis throttled Chatham Glenwood 58-14. And in Class 7A, Normal Community lost a heartbreaker to Chicago Mount Carmel 49-42. Jordan Love ran for a go-ahead score in the closing minutes, and Green Bay hung on to beat Chicago 20-19 Sunday when Carl Brooks blocked Caro Santos' kick from 46 yards. As time expired, Christian Watson set a career high with 150 yards on 4 catches, including a 60-yarder that set up Love's touchdown run, and the 7-3 Packers avoided falling further behind Detroit and Minnesota in the NFC North. They also beat the last-place Bears for the 11th straight time, the longest streak by either team in the storied rivalry. Love put Green Bay up 20-19 when he scored from the 1-yard line with 2:59 left. That touchdown was set up by the long completion to Watson, who got up after making a lunging catch and ran all the way to the 14-yard line. Chicago's Jalen Johnson tripped when he got to his feet and tangled up with Watson trying to defend the pass. Love got stopped just short of the end zone on a 13-yard run before scoring on the next play. The 2-point conversion failed. Green Bay sacked Caleb Williams on the first 2 plays of the next possession, but facing 3rd and 19, Williams regrouped, and the number 1 draft pick hit fellow rookie Roma Dunze with passes on back-to-back plays to put the ball in Packers territory. The Bears drove all the way to the 28, only to end a chaotic week with their 4th straight loss when Brooks got through the center of the line and reached up with his left hand to block Santos' kick. The Bears fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron Tuesday and replaced him with passing game coordinator Thomas Brown, hoping to spark a unit that ranks among the worst in the NFL. Love completed 13 of 17 passes for 261 yards and a touchdown. He also threw his league-leading 11th interception, matching his total from last year. Josh Jacobs ran for 76 yards and a touchdown for the Packers. Brenton Cox, active for the first time this season, had a sack, as did Rashawn Gary and TJ Slayton, helping Green Bay beat Chicago for the 26th time in 29 games. Williams threw for 231 yards and ran for 70 more after regressing in the previous 3 games. Chicago's DeAndre Swift had 14 carries for 71 yards. His 39-yard score near the end of the third quarter gave the Bears the 19-14 lead. The Packers were in a position to add to a 7-3 lead early in the second quarter, but Love, who has been intercepted at least once in every game, overthrew Tucker Kraft under pressure on 3rd down at the 15, and Terrell Smith picked it off at the 1-yard line. The Bears then scored their first touchdown since the final minute of a loss at Washington in Week 8. Rashawn Johnson powered in from the 1 in the closing seconds of the half to cap a 13-play drive. The offense had gone 25 possessions without reaching the end zone. Packers cornerback Jerry Alexander, who's been dealing with a knee issue, sat out the second half. The Packers placed rookie guard Jordan Morgan on injured reserve on Saturday. The first-round pick was splitting time with Sean Ryan at guard, with Ryan getting the majority of snaps. Bears left guard Ryan Bates left the game in the first quarter with a concussion. The Packers host San Francisco next Sunday, while the Bears host Minnesota on Sunday. Jack Doherty scored 28 points off the bench, and Illinois State breezed to a 107-52 victory over Trinity Christian on Sunday night. Dalton Banks scored 14 points and added 5 rebounds with 5 assists for the 3-1 Redbirds. Logan Wolf shot 5 of 7, including 3 of 5 from beyond the arc to finish with 14 points. Danny Staskunas led the way for the Trolls with 14 points. Tylen Harris had 12 points, and Mac Parmalee scored 10. Illinois State travels to the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam on Friday to take on McNeese State. Fred Van Vliet scored a season-high 28 points. Alperen Sengun had 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists for his second triple-double this season as the Houston Rockets rolled the Chicago Bulls 143-107 on Sunday for their 5th straight win. Jalen Green had 18 points as all 5 Houston starters reached double figures, and the Rockets topped their previous season high of 128 points. Amen Thompson played despite right quad soreness and added 16 points with 11 rebounds off the bench. The Rockets dominated the paint at both ends and pulled in 66 rebounds to Chicago's 47. Zach LaVine led Chicago with 15 points, and Talen Horton-Tucker scored 12 off the bench as the Bulls dropped their second straight and third in 4 games. After a sluggish start, the Rockets came on to shoot 52% from the floor. Chicago had no answer for Houston's dominance in the paint and shot 33.6%. The 143 points were the most Chicago ever allowed to Houston. Levine's free throws tied it at 36, 4:06 into the second quarter. Led by Van Vliet and Sengun, Houston outscored Chicago 32-16 to take a 68-52 halftime lead. The Rockets started the third with an 11-0 run and blew it open to 108-78 after 36 minutes. The Rockets set a season high for points in a quarter when they outscored Chicago 41-26 in the second quarter. They followed up by scoring 40 in the third. The Bulls will face the Pistons in Detroit tonight. Martin Nikas had 2 goals and 2 assists as the Carolina Hurricanes beat the St. Louis Blues 4-1 Sunday. Andrei Svechnikov and Eric Robinson scored for the Hurricanes, who have won 2 straight following a 1-2 road trip. Robinson added 2 assists. Pyotr Kochakov had 29 saves. Nikas has a 13-game point streak since he was kept off the score sheet October 19th at St. Louis. Jake Neighbors opened the scoring for St. Louis, but the Blues lost for the 5th time in 6 games to drop to 1-4-1. The Blues scored 6:05 into the game on Neighbors' first goal in 10 games before Carolina recorded its first shot on goal. Svechnikov tied the score with a power play goal. 25 seconds left in the opening period. 4 of his 6 goals have come on the power play. The Blues are at home Tuesday night versus Minnesota. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. A wind advisory begins at 6 p.m. tonight and continues until noon tomorrow. Rain showers likely today, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 66, southeasterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. A dusting of snow Wednesday night. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 58 degrees.